What's up guys, welcome back to Adventure Built. My name is Kelly. We're back in the shop with another install. We're doing a Prinsu rack on my Tacoma, but I'm gonna need some help. He's always so late. Whoa! Damn, that was quick. That's so dumb. That's so super dumb. Alright guys, stay tuned. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I received this Prinsu, well no, I won it. I won this Prinsu rack for the most part at Overland Expo West last year. Trev and I actually both won a CBI raffle where I got a $500 gift card toward anything on their website, and this is what I chose, the CBI Cab Rack.
Yeah, I only got $250, but hey, $250.
Winning's winning, right?
Yeah.
And guys, we reached our goal. We made 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2020. It's amazing. I'm super excited. I cannot believe we did it.
Yeah, before even the end of February. It was super quick. Thank you all for hitting that subscribe button and checking out our channel. And keep sharing it with your friends. And let's hit the new goal of 5,000 subscribers for 2020.
5,000. We can do it.
Cinco.
Cinco de Drinko. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and thank you for watching. Let's get this thing unpackaged and we'll start putting it together. Step number one is going to be to remove these trim pieces on the roof of your Tacoma. Mine is already hot because it's obviously in the desert in the sun. Even in the wintertime, it gets pretty warm, so they will come out super easy when they're warm. If they're cold, you might want to take a heat gun and just kind of heat them up just a little bit to make it more pliable. Take your trim tool, put it at the front edge, and just peel up, and it pops right off. And then all you're gonna do, it's held on by some double-sided tape, and it's stuck into a little groove, and just pull straight up. And this is the whole piece. The next step, we're gonna expose the mounting holes for the rack itself. Inside this channel, there are three little, they're almost stickers. And all you do is take your finger and you can just kind of peel them up. We're gonna go around and remove all of these plastic stickers over all of the other holes to expose all the holes. There are 3 of these per side. The next step is going to be to mark and put holes into this trim piece. If you look at this trim piece, you can see that this end is kind of a slot. This goes under and this is from the back. There's a tab that goes into a clip at the front. In order to reinsert this, so start the trim from the back, insert it into the slot, push it down, and now you've got it set. Make sure this trim piece is where it needs to be. Otherwise, you're gonna mark holes, you're gonna drill holes, you're gonna put it back in, and the holes aren't gonna be there. So be very, very careful. What I'm gonna do is take my handy dandy silver Sharpie, because silver will show up on black very well. And I'm just gonna eyeball it. And all I'm doing is I'm looking down the edge of the trim, or where the bolt hole is, and I'm gonna draw a mark on the edge of the trim. And now I'm gonna put it down as far as I can, so where the trim is almost covering the hole, to make sure these will line up. And then I'm just gonna transfer this mark to the very top center of the trim piece. I've gone through and I've marked all 5 holes, and I've put a small mark where I think they need to be on top. And I'm gonna start off with a very small hole. After I drill the hole, I'm gonna come back and put it back on, and I'm just gonna take my marker and I'm gonna put it in the hole and coat witness that it's centered. Otherwise, if the hole is off, I can still fix it because they're large holes. But if I drill the big hole first and it's wrong, you're stuck with it. Well, now I know why it's off center.
Why?
That metal strip right in the middle, pushed it. Yeah, that one just went right in that other hole next to it. After I drilled my pilot hole, I would drill it from the bottom. If you drill it from the top, it looks like it's centered, but it's really not. There's a metal spine that goes through this whole thing. It's very thin, but it wants to kick your drill bit off to the side. It'll eventually cut through the whole thing. But I'm taking just a really small 3mm Allen head, and I'm just sticking it through my pilot hole. And once you get it in there, you can feel it sink into the bolt hole and feel the threads. and spin it around, and you can kind of see if it's centered or if it's off center. I verified all my pilot holes. I know they're all good. I'm using a 3/4 inch bit, which is the exact size of the spacer because I don't want a lot of excess rubber missing where the spacer meets. Even though I'm going to silicone it, I just like a tight fit. And we're going to drill these holes out and try to keep them as centered as possible. Plan A is not quite working out. As you can see, the holes, when I drilled them, they went offset. There's a metal spine through here. My 3/4 inch wood blade, obviously not made for this application to cut through this metal. It actually caught the edge of it and it just pushed it aside. This was the first cut and this was the second cut, and it looks like crap. So we're going with plan B now. We're actually gonna section off these. We're gonna cut the trim completely, and then we'll add this middle section in later. We'll fill everything in with silicone. The big plates cover all of this anyway, so it'll never be seen. It shouldn't be that big of a difference. Ugh, looks ugly though. Using the bandsaw now to trim these down. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain, but in the end, what other option do we have? I use the bandsaw because I have it. Why wouldn't I? You can do this with hand tools. You can use a jigsaw to cut it off, or if you need to, you can take a pair of razor blades, trim it down, and just snip that wire. There's definitely ways to work around not having a bandsaw. This is an exploded view of what the rack looks like disassembled. The very front silver bar is what the fairing attaches to. Everything else is black. The entire thing is aluminum. These bars are extruded aluminum. The ends are plate aluminum that's been laser cut, and then the tabs have been folded over. When you're installing your rack, you can see that these extruded aluminum bars, they have recesses to where the T-bolts go into. You want these to be facing up. If you assemble the rack and you face these down, you're gonna have a really hard time getting your accessories on these bars. When Trevor and I assemble the rack, we're only gonna use 2 crossbars, only because I have a sunroof and I have the big antenna off the back, so spacing is gonna be an issue. We're taking the easy way. We're gonna do 2 crossbars, and then we'll fill them in later where they'll fit. The first step of assembling the rack itself is going to be attaching the fairing, which is aluminum, to this silver extruded aluminum bar. I don't know if they make this silver to make sure that you only use this bar to the front, or if they just didn't want to spend $2 to powder coat 1 bar. However, this is the bar that you need. And this is the bag of hardware you need. It's a bag with a bunch of Phillips head screws, washers, and these little T nuts.
I really think for the cost of the whole rack system that there's no reason to not have this one black as well. It just seems a little weird to me.
And the bolts go in this order. It's bolt, lock washer, flat washer, and then that screws into the T-nut in the track.
Boom.
Just like that. If you look at the T-nuts, you can tell that one side is flat and one side protrudes around the threads. The protruding side is a side that you want to have facing up. That way when it slides into this T slot, it will actually catch in there and it won't rattle.
I put the T-nuts inside the channel and kind of guesstimated where they're going to be at. Now I am putting the fairing on top of it, and we're going to use a little tool just to slide them back and forth. Some of them I'm pretty close, others I'm not even close. So it's going to be a process of back and forth of taking the WEN fairing off, moving things, putting it back on. But once they're close, you can just put them in and slide them over to line them up for the bolts. Now that everything's all lined up, we're just going to place the bolts inside here, and we're just going to hand tighten them for now. So that way, once we get it onto the rack, we can adjust it left, right if need be.
Trevor got the front fairing mounted to the silver extruded aluminum bar. And now we're going to assemble the side plates with the 2 crossbars to get this thing going. Right now, Trevor and I are trying to figure out the spacing of these bars to not impede with the sunroof or my rear big fin antenna that I have. I think we've got it nailed down. It's gonna kind of have a big space where the sunroof is and all the bars more in the back end of it. We're gonna put everything in a little loose. That way if we have to move stuff around, it's not a big pain to take these bars out and move them. There's not a lot of adjustability once you get these bars in the slots that they go in. The hardware you need to actually install the side plates to the extruded aluminum bars, having a really hard time saying that today, is this large bag of black oxide bolts. The heads are these star bits, and they're a T30 star bit. And remember guys, we are installing this upside down so that it's easier for us to install. Make sure that the slots are facing down if you're gonna install this upside down. Otherwise, you're never gonna be able to slide those T-nuts to attach accessories to these roof bars. And just like the other T-slots assembling the fairing, it's going to be bolt, lock washer, flat washer. We just test fit the rack with 3 bars on it just to get a feel for where it was gonna lay out with the sunroof and the antenna. Like I said, those little issues aren't for everyone, but if you do have an antenna, one of those big shark fin antennas, and a sunroof, you're gonna have to do some playing around with the bar locations. We kind of figured out where we want to put all the bars. We're gonna go ahead and finish the install of the bars and we're gonna get this thing up there. They require you to silicone around the holes where you're inserting the large spacers. I'm actually going to use quite a bit of silicone. The last thing I want in my brand new truck is to have leakage. And I'm also going to add a couple dabs of silicone along the track to keep the trim down and not from flying out. And I'm using this DAP all-purpose. It's an acrylic and silicone mix, and it's actually supposed to be really good. It goes on white, dries clear, and it's high quality. And I would suggest using a high quality product.
Oh, I thought that was...
I've gotten the whole length of the trim dabbed with silicone and all the holes with a really good thick quantity of it. And now I'm returning the trim pieces to the original positioning with the cutouts, inserting these directly over the holes, and then just returning the trim. We've got all the strips back on, we've got everything siliconed, we've got the spacers in. It's time to install the rack, finally. And the hardware, you guessed it, these bolts, split washer, flat washer. Going, bro?
Going good.
Yeah?
Yep.
Getting all your bolts in?
Yep. Tighten them up. Is there Torx specs?
Torx specs. Tight.
Tight.
Nice and tight. We just finished tightening up all of the bolts to get this rack on here nice and secure. I don't have a Torx spec, but I just held the top of the ratchet and gave it a good amount of twist but it's obviously in sheet metal. I don't want to mess with it too terribly, so I put them in there nice and tight, enough for the lock washer to do its job, but not over tightening it. We also used this mover's blanket to kind of protect the paint up here. It's still a new truck. I don't want to destroy it, so this is what we're using to kind of keep this nice and clean. And all this is a small mover's blanket, but right now we're going to pull it off so we can readjust these bars to where they're going to stay forever.
Forever. On the Prinsu wind deflector, it's really cool that it comes with some weather stripping.
At an additional cost.
The weather stripping was additional cost? Okay, hold on. Let me wrap my brain around that one. Okay. The Prinsu rack comes with a windscreen, and as an option, you have the light bar cut out on here that Kelly's going to be adding later. However, an option is this weather stripping. To me, I don't think it should be an option. I think it should be a standard thing because everyone should have this. It's going to cut wind noise down, and it's also allows you to put it all the way down against the body and not have any rubbing. One of the problems though is that it was kind of just folded up and thrown into the box and not stretched out or even rolled up. And in that, it caused a lot of deforming. This is actually better because we had it sitting out in the sun for about 3 hours, and this is as good as we could get it in the Arizona sun. And also you can see here, there's some scratches where you can actually see the little metal internals. It's not a huge deal because it's very small and minor. However, if you have to pay extra for it, they should take care of it and make sure that it's in good condition when it arrives. The weather stripping goes on with the textured side out and the soft rubber side on the inside. And it just got a C channel here that just gets pushed on to the metal. Every spot that it's crimped is a lot harder to get on though. Like there's a bend right here because there's a little bit of metal in this thing. So when that metal gets crimped, it does not want to go on. Pushing it on by hand only goes in so far. It's got a metal channel that creates a V, and it's really stiff to get it in. A rubber mallet, a little whack, and it'll go right on. Now that it's fitted on, we have about 1 inch of excess hanging off the end. And there's a couple things you could do. You could recenter it and just have like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch on either end hanging off. But we're gonna go ahead and trim it up using a radiator hose cutter. Pretty much any like pipe cutter, hose cutter will work, or any kind of sharp snips will work as well.
Last step now, fitting up the fairing, that fairing, and then we're done. The Prinsu rack is installed, done, and looks amazing.
The nice thing that the Prinsu does, it gives you aluminum sides. A lot of them are using steel sides with the same extruded aluminum cross beams. They're all getting very similar, just small design changes. It's really nice. There's a couple things on the windscreen that I wish it had a little curve to it, match the body lines a little bit more to get a better seal, but we'll see how it drives and if there's any wind noise for you. But other than that, I think that's the only complaint I have on it. I mean, it's nice, it's light, it's well made. The weather stripping, that was a big one. Other than that, it's nice.
It'll be good, it'll be functional. It'll be what I have for a long time, and we'll see if something else new pops up. We'll see. That wraps up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace! Share the screen, share the... Ugh. swallowing.
Sparkly.
Yeah.
Usually it's just me and Trevin here, and now you're in here. You're like,
No.
this is like a studio audience.
Pressure.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we reached our limit. We're done. See you guys.
Deuces.
Who didn't plug this in?
Wah, wah, wah.
All right.
I walked off. I didn't realize you were still going. I don't want to walk back in. That'd be weird.
Dang it. Oh, I'm not in it anymore. Extruding? Protruding.
Protruding. That's extruded. That's
Right.
protruded.
You're protruded.
Blooper clip is just going to be you saying extruded.
Extruded.
Oh my goodness.
I should just yodel it.
I don't know why it's finally.
Finally, it's because it's taken a long time to do it. It's been a 2-hour ride. Who wears it better?